8 Ways Your Childhood Affects Your Love Life. We all know the life stages. We start as kids, go through an awkward, moody teenage phase, and become adults. Many of us eventually start dating as adults, find love, and decide we want to be in a partnership for the rest of our lives. We may easily draw a line between our early relationships and romantic lives as adults. After all, what do my childhood memories and encounters have to do with the connection I have now? They happened years ago. In reality, your childhood has a significant impact on your love life. Memories and behaviors from your childhood may be bringing on a large portion of the pain or conflict in your relationship. In ways we don't even understand, our childhood significantly impacts us. Our ability to handle these effects to strengthen rather than harm our relationships will increase as we become more aware of them. Relationships give benefits. We are aware that being in a relationship has a lot of advantages. It not only appeals to our natural desire to fit in, but it also creates a strong sense of social connection. Our mortality rate is affected by this social connection by up to 50%. We're less stressed, less liable to mental illness, and less susceptible to illness. Understanding why happy and fulfilling relationships are important for our overall well-being is simple. Why is it so difficult for us to be in adult relationships? We're slow learners and realize how our childhood affects our love life. Humans still need to evolve regarding self-awareness despite having opposable thumbs and being creative with funny TikTok videos. Our emotions often come in the way of our ability to think clearly, even though we are wired to be driven by them. As a result, we take a while to understand and recognize our feelings, let alone identify their cause. We cannot recognize how our childhood experiences have influenced our emotions or behaviors because of our present-day lack of self-awareness. We created routines as kids to deal with our confusing emotions. These habits have now become so embedded in us that we no longer even think to question them. It resembles brushing your teeth at night in certain ways. Naturally, do it before you go to bed. You probably don't think much about how you learn to brush your teeth, why it's good for you, or how the habit influences your life. Simply because it comes naturally to you, you do it. Your adult practices are comparable to how you wash your teeth. Childhood learning was remembered over time, and they are now unquestionable. Time to open up this gate and gain perspective from the crest. 8 Ways Your Childhood Affects Your Romantic Life. It would help if you first determine what habits and beliefs you inherited from your childhood to understand how they are impacting your romantic life nowadays. People learn through imitating and observing others. Therefore, how we see our families develop greatly impacts how we are. Here are 8 habits you acquired as a child that you should keep in mind. Your style of communicating. Every family has a unique communication style. Some families deal with disagreement by speaking softly and gesturing gently. Others may see conflict as a lot of shouting and yelling at one another. Or, in a very unhealthy option, no acknowledgement of conflict is made. We all create unique communication ways, but our family's communication habits still greatly impact us. Our interpersonal interactions will eventually reveal these communication barriers. Let's imagine that when Johnny's family argued, they tended to yell at one another. Everyone would move on and get along just fine after their wild talk. However, Casey, Johnny's partner, came from a home where yelling was seen to be loveless. Casey suddenly believes that yelling and becoming upset with Johnny is the worst thing he can do. Johnny is simply trying to express himself at the same time. This difference causes a communication gap. Your partner will better understand your communication habits the sooner you recognize them. You could then settle on communication standards for your relationship as a couple. Your ideals and principles. Regarding our views and values, the adults who brought us greatly impacted us. In reality, many of us can think of a continuing principle that our parents or guardians established in us as children. We continue to hold on to these childhood ideals as we grow and form our values. My parents placed a strong focus on self-discipline in me. Self-control not only defines my life but also serves as a standard by which I judge others. I, therefore, think less of my lover because he wasn't always the most disciplined. It took me some conversations before I realized that self-discipline was not the most important value but something I had been taught to value more highly than others. It's challenging to let go of our childhood values and beliefs. It would be best if you were mindful of the possibility that other individuals may hold different ideals regarding relationships. Your loving gestures. If we had the good fortune to be raised in a loving partnership, we would spend a lot of time observing how that relationship worked. We saw the couple's shows of affection in particular. Naturally, we accepted these affectionate gestures as the norm. Then, without debate, we included them in our adult relationships. There are various techniques to express affection. Some people may define an act of love as being overly kind and generous while continually questioning, "What can I buy you?" For others, it can be the opposite. Love might be expressed by being self-sufficient to avoid being a problem. Because they express their love differently, couples may not sense it. It's best if you can settle on anything immediately. Your attachment styles. We can still understand how attachment concepts impact our relationships without diving too far into the research that backs them. Adults often choose one of 4 attachment styles, according to psychologists: secure, at ease with intimacy, unconcerned about rejection, and independent; anxious, worried, extremely insecure about the relationship, and wanting intimacy; avoidant, uncomfortable with intimacy and valuing freedom and independence; anxious, avoidant, uncomfortable with intimacy and concerned about a partner's loyalty and love. It is simple to see how our attachment preferences can impact our love lives. How our attachment types were formed during childhood may take time to see. The attachments we had in childhood are where our attachment methods have their roots. Some of us have the good fortune to have secure attachments as children. As a result, we will be more ready to be honest and trustworthy in our adult relationships. Unsurprisingly, we would feel uneasy about our adult attachments if we had unstable, careless, or unstable parents as children. Your financial mindset. Despite our deepest desires to meet and marry a prince, most people opt to live in person from their social level. Because this event occurs so often, the class gap is getting wider. And the reason why it's happening makes sense. We form a mindset towards money in our childhood based on the standard of living we currently enjoy or hope for. There isn't a set way to spend money other than the need for food and housing. Some people have no problem spending hundreds of dollars on clothing. In contrast, others go to a different place every month while wearing the same sweater for 10 years. Some people may invest every spare dollar of their income into their future. We will face these alternate views in our relationships. They will need to consider their attitude toward money, particularly as two people start to balance their lives. You must find a balance even if you don't have to agree on everything. Your coping mechanisms. Have you ever heard of the phrase, "let your inner child play"? Everybody has an inner child that might or might not want to play. However, the coping skills we learned as kids surely allow our inner children to emerge. Then, in our mature relationships, the same coping methods continue. I developed a perfectionist mindset as a child to earn approval and affirmation. I unconsciously created a pattern of control to counter any negative emotions I felt. When my partner and I argued during our first year of dating, I rapidly returned to a critical mindset out of a desire for control. Finding the moments when my little girl reaction would come out took a lot of effort. But once I did, I realized that the coping skills that had once helped me in the past were no longer effective. Your habits of behavior. Although it could seem like a catch-all phrase, behavioral patterns should still be noted. Every family runs extremely differently regarding daily routines, traditions, and attitudes. We learn as children that what we do is the norm. We carry on with many of these norms as we get older. They could be as basic as the time you eat dinner or as complicated as the power relationships in your family. My fiancé, for instance, comes from a napping family. They frequently take 2-hour naps, especially on days when they are busy. On the other hand, my parents are just a few hours away from being insomniacs. These differences undoubtedly show themselves in our daily lives. We've occasionally had to change our behavioral habits. We respect each other's patterns at other times. When two people with different norms get together, they must collaborate to create a new norm. It will take some time and effort to complete this process. Your perspective on family. One particular value, how much importance you place on family, deserves its category among all the differences in values and behaviors. We all formed preferences about our families, love, and what we got during our childhood. Sometimes we intentionally make these choices, but more often than not, they form without our knowledge. Do you see a couple as a team? Do roles in the family have to be specific? What importance do you give to your family? It's vital first to understand what you need in a relationship. When you reach this self-awareness, you can be honest with your partner about what you both need. While it could be uncomfortable, you must prioritize this aspect and be on the same page. Unzipping childhood can be difficult and only sometimes pleasant. As you try to sort through your childhood and build your love relationship, keep in mind the guidelines. Decide what aspects of your childhood you loved and disliked. Be open to other family and relationship patterns. Make choices on how you want your romantic life to be. Set goals and effectively communicate them to your partner. Forgive yourself for both recent and future failures. We frequently consider our childhood to be a long memory. Your childhood, however, has various effects on your romantic life. Relationships are vital to our well-being, so you must think about how your childhood may be affecting your relationship. The better you can communicate your demands to your partner, the more you will be aware of these effects. Ultimately, you want to build a love life that makes you comfortable and happy.